Hello, today I have a talk called Relaxing Out of Burdens. And the first statement is every crushing feeling you experience is about the opportunity to relax out of self-imposed burdens. So the idea of a crushing feeling was brought up, but really it's any feeling of minor or major disquiet or discomfort. And the big opportunity to have a turning point is to understand every time I experience one of these feelings, it's all about a burden that I have imposed. A burden cannot come from outside of me. It does appear to in time and space. It looks that way, but that's all that's happening. I cannot experience a burden that I did not impose upon myself. And what's my opportunity in every moment to relax out of that burden? By looking toward truth, by dedicating every situation I'm in toward truth and peace. I don't put any specific expectations onto it because I don't put myself in a place where the ego is going to struggle. And when I say that, I know I do sometimes, but when I'm in my right mind, I don't. And instead, I always have the opportunity to dedicate every situation I perceive to peace and to truth, and to let everything come to me from there. Okay, you always have the opportunity to see that believing ego's thoughts will never bring joy. And if I'm perceiving a lack of joy, why is there a lack? Only for one reason, and it's not a reason about the world. The only reason I could be lacking joy is that I'm blocking joy, and I use a thought from ego to block joy. That's what I'm able to do here in this fantasy, this hallucination, this dream. I can pretend that I'm able to block joy, and then I can have the experience of blocking joy. Now, I might be feeding on an emotion, an ego emotion that I call joy, and it would be seemingly because the ego is getting what it said it wanted in the dream, so it's satisfied, and it says, therefore I am joyous. But when I start to explore and look beyond the back and forth opposite ego emotions, I'm full of joy, I'm lacking joy, that's not actual joy. Actual joy is what you and I are together. As I start to look more deeply with every opportunity I have, I understand, okay, this one thing is ego's substitutes for joy. And while I still think I want them sometimes, I'm increasingly able to sense and feel the disquiet. And when I don't feel good, it's a problem. And when I don't feel good, I believed in ego thought. And when I don't feel good, I can take that ego thought, set it aside, and focus on the truth. And today I'm focusing there is a function God would have me fill. When I'm in my function, I'm happy. When I've turned away from my function, I'm unhappy. If I'm unhappy, rather than judging any specific facet of the world I made up, and I'm then evaluating and chopping up into bits and pieces and judging positively or negatively, rather than evaluating that, I know I can just turn toward my happiness, which is my function, and just open up to spirit and say, okay, I'm open, show me the way. And I can do this as many times as I need to do it every single day. So you are the joy ego can't give you. And that's something for me to realize. When I feel a stab of fear, and I think it's about some specific time and space thing, the ego can't ever give me joy. It can give me ups and downs and backs and forths. And with every up it gives me, it's going to give me a down. With every forth it gives me, it's going to give me a back. Just bouncing up and down and back and forth. That's all it can do. It can just be very busy and obscure the love that is already here. The love that is already here is the joy we are together. So when I'm experiencing many busy thoughts about the seemingly separate aspects aspects of the world I can remember together, we are the joy ego cannot give us. And I can rest in a moment there. So I find my joy in rest. I find my joy in stillness. I find my joy in silence. You will never feel bad about something real. So when I'm feeling bad, it's always about something unreal. Ego will take offense to this 100% of the time. Ego will point to seen as separate aspects of time and space and insist that there's something wrong with me if I don't feel bad about it. But now I understand more deeply. When I feel bad, I'm believing ego's interpretation of time and space. And all ego can do is chop off one bit of time and space, focus on one thing it says is separate, and then it sends me a thought, and it claims that this thought makes sense of this chopped off separate aspect of time and space. That's all it can do. I can watch it, I can listen to it, and I can also take that little thought that it sent me that makes a positive or negative commentary on some separate chopped off aspect of time and space, and I can set it aside. And I can turn toward truth and know that our function is our joy, is looking through everything on the surface without judgment to the joy we all share and being led from that joy. And ego can't understand what the game plan is. There's a plan for all of us in harmony that leads us through and out of what we made back home. The ego can't understand it. And if it thinks it understands this plan, it tries to grab a hold of this plan and manipulate it. So it's okay if we don't know what the heck's going on. That's fine. If we have our willingness and we're aware of our hearts and our hearts are open and we stop consistently when we're not at rest, when we're not at peace, to turn the focus back to a peace and a truth that the ego will never be able to understand, then we're in good hands. And that's all we really have to do. So we can't feel bad about something real. The only thing that's real has no disturbance. And it has no separate qualities, and it is not separate. And everything else is unreal. We can only feel bad about unreal things. We can always turn back toward what is real. And ego will pipe up and say, this is lack of compassion. Well, we're being taught a new compassion. Deep compassion. If we can go still and quiet and know the beautiful reality of every one, every soul, every being involved in any perceived experience and rest in our unity, that's very powerful. And now is the time when we learn to trust this rest and quiet and awareness of unity, and we witness what extends from that, what that causes in perceived time and space. Now's our time to observe this. And this is not about the ego's doing and the ego's struggle and the ego's winning or losing. It's not about any of that. So here's what the ego tells you. That guy is this thing and I am the other thing. This is essential. If you're going to, or this thing is that thing and this other thing is the other thing, we need a that and a this. That's the ego's language. But if we go into unity, where we're joined forever, and we rest in the power we all share forever, no matter what current appearance we're wearing in time and space, it doesn't really matter. Our shared unity is our shared power. And our shared power carries us through and out of what we imagined. And our shared power doesn't require any of the ego commentary about any of the seemingly separate aspects of time and space that we're experiencing. Our shared power just carries us and guides us right through this experience. And we're supplied with whatever thoughts we need to carry us through it, to know what to do, what to say, etc. We're guided, and we're guided together, and we're guided by the innocence we share. We're guided by the sanity we share. We're guided by the love everyone is, no exceptions. And we can always rest in this guidance. So we're learning to love this, appreciate it, notice it, take the opportunities whenever we get it, value it, and to stop and rest and relax when we notice we've gotten distracted yet again. We trained ourselves using a lot of effort to get distracted by what the ego is telling us about the seemingly separate aspects of time and space that we're experiencing. We trained very hard to be very distracted. We trained very hard to cover up love, joy, and unity, and to look into darkness and to give darkness both positive and negative attributes. We trained very hard. And now we're relaxing out of all that training. All that training, and we're learning how to be still and allow. And that's very powerful. Okay, wishing you well today and happy healing.